With such remakes as King Kong,
yes,
and now the recently announced that they're remaking Clash of the Titans.
Oh, I hope not.
That's what they're saying, that they're going to remake Clash of the Titans.
Why remake things like this? I don't know.
Someone asked me, what is the difference between a Shakespeare play being performed hundreds of times and a movie being remade? After watching Orson Welles' F for Fake and getting a loose understanding of one of its questions, is it okay for an art forger to make fake paintings if all they're doing is earning a profit off of sharing someone else's work to keep it alive? I think I have an answer.
You've seen my big Cézanne at the Metropolitan? Is that just a forgery, my friend? Is it not also a painting?
The argument that an art forger's only crime is making someone feel an emotion is completely false, because although they may not take credit for the forgery, they are lying to an audience and making a profit off of someone else's work.
Now, this has been standing here for centuries. The premier work of man, perhaps, in the whole Western world. And it's without a signature. Maybe a man's name doesn't matter.
The argument that the author of a work is only a fleeting idea that will fade over time damages the importance of the existence of an author in the first place, which is exactly what remake directors are doing. The reason why Shakespeare is different is because every single adaptation or performance of his work has always been credited back to him for hundreds of years. When someone watches Romeo and Juliet on stage, it can be expected that the audience will ask, who wrote the play? And it will always go back to Shakespeare. But movie directors do not have that luxury of longevity. When remake directors make a remake, they deny any guilt of forgery. They claim to be merely sharing the work of another.
We made this to remind people what they loved about Footloose. I've met people who've never seen Footloose, and they see our movie and they want to go see the original.
Or reimagining it from their own perspective.
I'm not going to say a remake, I'm going to say it's a reinterpretation of this classic Korean film called Old Boy.
Which is one of the finest films ever made. Are you going to stay true to the original text?
It's a reinterpretation.
Because the ending, we can't, but it's so... Can you do... right?
It's a reinterpretation.
What's the point of college and universities stressing the rule of non-plagiarism if graduating means you can go on to remake another person's work? This plagiarism falls under the phrase, we're remaking it for a new generation. But if someone watches the Nightmare on Elm Street remake with no knowledge of the original, they'll ask, who directed it? And the answer won't be Wes Craven, despite him directing the original work, unlike Shakespeare. And what this does is not innocently share the work of another for a new generation, but instead forges a cheap idea in the viewer's head of someone else's work.
I heard they were casting extras. I didn't have a lot going on at the time, so I was like, hey, I'll go be on the set of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. It's a shitty remake, but it's still a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and the Nightmare on Elm Street series has always meant a lot to me. So I got to meet Jackie Earle Haley. Me and him and some other crew guy were hanging around talking about the original movie, and Jackie Earle Haley's like, yeah, I hadn't seen it since, you know, it was first in theaters, so I watched it in my hotel the other night, and it was just the worst movie I've ever seen. I was like, oh, here's our new Freddy. And in the back of my head, I was thinking, when he's doing publicity for this movie, he's going to talk about how much the first one meant to him, how iconic it is.
Just the notion of playing such an iconic character, especially an iconic character that's really owned by another actor. But it's Freddy Krueger. How can you not play Freddy Krueger?
So, moral of the story, in case anyone didn't know, Hollywood is full of shit.
Normally, remakes have the credit based on the original screenplay, or, in Elm Street's case, based on characters. Oh. Just the characters, huh? Nice. Although this rightfully removes evidence of forgery, it would be more creatively just if the citation was more prominent on the poster, in the trailer, and the opening and ending credits. If instead of making an original story, you chose to remake someone else's, make it as apparent as possible instead of trying to pass it off as your own.
Remakes in general are popular now because of the amount of money a company has to spend advertising to get people in the theaters. And one way to cut through the clutter of advertising that's out there is to come with a title in recent memory that they've heard of.
Although many remakes will remain forgotten while the originals rightfully live on, anniversary and remastered editions included, what will happen 100 years from now when copies of Jurassic Park are no longer produced and the most conveniently available version of the movie is the third remake of it? You could argue that it wouldn't be a remake, but more so a readaptation of the book. But when a singular film is capable of achieving incredible success and praise from one adaptation, why would you want to replace it or risk the possibility of a viewer seeing your version as the original? On the other hand, it does depend on the story. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is also based on a book, found relevance in the 1950s with McCarthy paranoia, in the 70s with emotionless apathy, in the 90s with battle against adult conformity, and in 2007 with the geopolitics of the post-9/11 world. It's not hard to see why this paranoid fable on the dangers of conformity would prove irresistible to generations of storytellers, given its capacity for alternative interpretations and double meanings. The most Rorschach-like, the most richly suggestive of all science fiction allegories. With that being said, it is possible to use remakes as a way to keep a story alive to reflect our societies or time periods, but the majority of remakes as of late could care less about achieving a timeless reflection. In Carrie, the terror of teenage abuse and vengeance can still be relevant to our modern day without the need to readapt it for the sake of what? To make Carrie more attractive? To show that smartphones exist? To show off what computers can do? Which brings up the statement, we're remaking it for a new generation to discover and enjoy.
And to bring it to a new generation and give them their own Ghostbusters.
It has to work for the people who never saw the original.
Was it a bit scary for you to kind of take this on and bring it to a whole new generation?
Redo him and reinvent him for a new audience.
Because the fakes are as good as the real ones, and there's a market and there's a demand.
This is implying the remake is for a generation that isn't aware of the original work. Which exact generation is that? Let's use Ghostbusters as a recent example. Is it for the 30 to 50 adult generation? No, because they were the audience that made the original the pop culture classic it became. How about the 20 to 28 generation? No, because the previous generation did the right thing by introducing us to that classic. Could it be my sister's generation, born in '99? No, because my generation are sharing the classic with them as well, which leaves a generation ranging roughly from 5 to 13. If the remake directors deny this, then their remake is for generations who are already firmly aware and appreciative of a film that they don't need or want a remake of, leaving a remake that will only be discovered and enjoyed by a generation of kids to early teens who, as of now, are being classified by social media and the physical stature of staring down at a screen. Should we feed the imagination of that generation with unoriginal cinematic forgeries?
That's not the real movie!
But this is better!
Much better!
Or should we feed their imagination with the classic movies that came before them in the hope that they will continue to preserve those movies and maybe go on to make unique and original stories that will inspire the generations to come?
America says we love a chorus, but don't get complicated and bore us, though meaning might be missing. We need to know the words after just one listen, so repeat stuff, 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 repeat stuff. Yeah, we know it's not right. We know it's not funny, but we'll stop beating this dead horse when
So moral of the story, in case anyone didn't know, Hollywood is full of shit.